Chapter 9. By 2013, my faith had more holes and loose threads than a moth-eaten sweater. I still felt the need to believe in something, to find a purpose and meaning for my existence. But what? I scoured bookshelves and online stores, finding plenty of self-proclaimed experts selling the way to ultimate happiness, but no and no and no, thank you. I happened to catch a documentary on TV where scientists observed the human brain emitting energy as people thought and wondered if the collective power of human consciousness could help in a pinch. It seemed more plausible than the tales from Catholic school, and in techie terms, might be measurable, testable, and verifiable. I started praying to the collective, though I felt silly, more like a character on Star Trek than a person seeking the divine. Around that time, my neurologist suggested a procedure offering a slim chance at beating back to gravis. It meant getting my chest cut wide open, but it would get me out of work for a few weeks, so what did I have to lose? The morning before surgery, I got a wild hair and confessed my non-Catholic status to my mother. I'd hoped to prevent unwanted clergy visits at the hospital. She assured me through gritted teeth that I had no choice in the matter. She'd seen to it by baptizing me as an infant. I let that go, hoping my entry of not applicable for religion on my hospital admissions forms would do the trick. It didn't. Everything that could go wrong on the operating table went wrong, except for beating the gravis. Hours after awakening from surgery, the stutter was gone. A week later, I didn't need the scooter. 2 weeks passed and I was back in the hospital with a chest tube and unbelievable complications. Note to self, no matter how great their reputation, don't let someone cut you open after they throw a tantrum in pre-op. Just saying. I spent a couple of months on major pain meds, and because everyone kept telling me to write a book about my medical misadventures, I gave it a go. Writing while high is not a good idea, at least not for me. I thought I wrote way more than I did, and that it made sense. Once the fog cleared, I could see my delusion on both points. Time spent with my unknowingly addled brain, coupled with memories of the wild pseudo-bulbar reaction when my neurologist took me off antidepressants cold turkey, made it clear the human mind is too easily influenced by chemicals to ever play God. I'll note here that I stopped taking painkillers once the pain became manageable by OTC remedies. To my great relief, despite prolonged exposure and a flimsy excuse for higher power, I did not return to active addiction. I also did not find a way to return to active faith. Would I ever find anything I could believe in? Chapter 10. With my latest good idea for a non-godlike God tanked and feeling desperate, I went on a quest for new information, anything to clue me in on living without faith, but definitely nothing offering a substitute. Untangling faith's grip on my mind had been hard enough. I didn't want a replacement. Other earthly creatures, read non-human, get through their days without the supernatural, so why couldn't I? They don't even have the internet, cable TV, or shopping to take the edge off when things get rough. So, armed with the comforts of human privilege, I went searching for info on getting through the day with purpose and meaning, but without belief. I felt like Goldilocks. After skimming countless books that promised answers but just pushed another way of life or vented about religion, I found one that offered no agenda, only facts and rational explanations. Even before finishing, I felt so much better, i.e. far less crazy, and as well informed as one can be when learning the ins and outs of believing in nothing. So many questions were answered, some in ways I did not expect. I knew I'd been in the habit of leaning on faith to handle tough situations, that prayer relieved my feelings of powerlessness and hope of divine retribution let me wipe my hands when it came to the messy business of justice. What I hadn't realized was that those practices enabled me to avoid contributing to the welfare of myself and or others and standing up for myself. Telling people I would pray for them may have provided an emotional lift, but when I took up part of their load, I helped to improve their situation. Shying away from conflict, hoping God would deliver justice, creates many negative side effects ranging from fostering resentments to enabling tyranny. In my life, it allowed my ex-husband to victimize many others because I didn't follow through in seeking legal recourse after he raped me. The police would not provide any protection, and I'd been afraid he would cause even greater harm to me and to my young son, so I dropped the charges and hid. Decades later, a woman is dead by his hand, and I have to wonder if she would be alive had I pursued my case. While those were uncomfortable admissions, it was consideration of life and death that brought the biggest surprises. The fact any of us are alive when, in the age of Hubble telescopes, SpaceX, and Mars rovers, we haven't found any other sentient creatures in the universe makes us rare and precious in my book. And our lives are crazy short. On a planet that's existed for billions of years, or even just comparing our lifespan to the number of years on human record, we're each here for a mere instant and then we're gone, never to return. Putting it in those terms, I saw I have one very brief opportunity to enjoy and explore the wonders of our world and not one nanosecond to waste. I also need to soak up the presence of loved ones while they're here, for they too have limited time. It's tough to accept that when somebody dies, I will never, ever, ever see them again. This is the most bitter of reality's pills, and almost unbearable for those I hold most dear. One of the people I loved most in my life was my father-in-law and fellow in long-term sobriety, Walter. He passed suddenly at 82 years of age, and the pain of his loss sometimes takes my breath away. Thinking of him and looking at pictures or videos of times we spent together as a family bring him back momentarily, but the rest of the time, there's a Walter-shaped hole in my life. Though he was a long-time non-believer, without looking at it through a religious lens, I don't have to worry about Walter's soul burning in hell. Instead, because my human brain needs some sort of image, I picture him vaporizing into that near-death state we experience under general anesthesia. Even when my chest was being cut open, I have no recollection of what was done after being put to sleep. I was just gone. I longed for nothing, dreaded nothing, sensed nothing, and knew nothing. I was nobody and nowhere and had no cares. That doesn't seem a bad way to spend eternity. It certainly doesn't seem a bad way to imagine Walter now that he's gone.